I got a big old dip face in the water. Look at it. It almost looks like it's clapping, not swimming.
Almost. The water is shallow here.
You ever tried to clap underwater?
I can't say I have. Well,
Neither have I, but I bet it's difficult.
yeah, it doesn't sound easy.
Especially as you got to get the speed, ain't you? So.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, because it slows everything down water, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh look, you've got mushroom filter to use each life. That's fine. You'll be fine. Super effective. Doubt.
Mushroom filter is incredibly slow, though. Oyster.
I mean, there's nothing new with it being slow.
No.
We already knew it.
Do I trust the corporal? Oh, wow.
Just looks like somebody just chopped it in half. Use sleep powder.
I might be wrong, but isn't close to the other way these days?
What do you mean isn't it the other way?
Doesn't it close vertically rather than horizontally?
Yeah, it does, yeah. Well, that just...
I thought there was a reason that looked really weird.
That just means that he's just turned over on his side.
Yeah, that's true.
I wonder what that pink thing in the middle of its head is.
Which pink thing?
The little pink, like, pixely blob just above its eyes.
Some kind of soul gem, maybe?
Why would it be a soul gem?
Yeah. I don't remember it being in how close it looks now.
Exactly, that's what I mean.
Any,
Look, clap, 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 clap.
Why are you riding a Pokemon? Can't you swim?
No.
Obviously not. I'm 10. Come on.
Hey. You can learn to swim at 10.
You can. You can also learn to ride a bike at 10. And take down criminal organisations.
And you could just not learn to swim at all. That is my life experience.
Which is also fine. Like, I learned to swim not last year, but the year before, 2019.
Did you?
Yeah.
For me, it's just I can't.
Prior to that, whenever I was in a swimming pool, I just sort of
Stood
walked
up.
around because I'm very tall. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, it's just a case of I don't float. I have the I have the buoyancy of a rock. So it's like I'm kind of like hover almost. So I'm like I don't sink entirely, but I sink a fair amount. So it's a bit where I'm just like, yeah, this is just no. So it's a case of like if I had something to support my chest a bit more, I can actually swim, and I can just swim fairly well. It's just a case of I need that sort of like, almost that sort of reassurance that it's a case of, you know, that I can actually float. Not more reassurance.
Swim.
Not more reassurance. It's just a case of like, I need the actual buoyancy to be able to swim. So that's it. Which I'm actually all right with once I get to that point. But so I'm fine on something like a bodyboard or whatever. It's just a case of, you know, which is actually not too bad to say that I am terrified of drowning.
Yeah, I think most people are, to be honest.
Yeah, but most people haven't actually nearly drowned at all. So it's one of those things.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's one of those.
Seafoam is a quiet getaway.
Especially at a young age, it's a case of I just don't like water now because of it. It's just like horrible. But you know.
Fair enough, man.
So it's a case of my lack of buoyancy and the fact that I hate water just means I'm just like, nah. And people are like, oh, but I can teach you to swim, and I'm like, you might be able to, but there's not going to be an opportunity. And they're like, don't you trust me? And I'm like,
That's not it.
that doesn't come into the equation, because that assumes that there's a chance that it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I just find it funny because people just get like and I know this sounds mean, but I find it funny that people get offended at the fact that I don't like water, to the fact that I won't let them teach me because it means that I have to get near water. Like, obviously...
Nah, man, if you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it.
Exactly. Like, bathing is an entirely different thing. I'm going to be
in a bath or, you know, like a shower.
Yeah, exactly.
Some kind of contained sort of area.
Yeah, you are in a controlled body of water where the depth is to your control. But it's a case of, like, I don't like being in something that's, like, 4 to 7... Like, I can stand up in something that's 4 foot deep. But it's a case of, if I slip, that's it. It's a case of, I could easily just crack my head open, I'm unconscious, I drown, I die.
Hold on, keep it going for a second. The cat's got stuck behind a cupboard.
Well, things you'd never thought you'd hear on this sort of thing. I mean,
little minutes.
apparently he's getting stuck behind a cupboard. So you know, he's like, "What do you think? Searching for gold." But you know, it's one of those things where it's like a case of, in like 4 foot or more deep of water, you can either A, drown because you can't touch the floor, or B, slip, crack your head open, and then just like you'll drown. And at that point, it's just like, that's a nah from me. Whereas if you're in like a bathtub or a shower or a hot tub or whatever, you're in a controlled body of water, so you know you'll be fine.
And that's it, or a jacuzzi or anything like that.
Exactly. So it's a case of, at that point, you're like, well, let's be honest, I can control how much water there is, so I will be fine. But as soon as somebody's like, oh, well, I can teach you to swim, that literally means that, oh yeah, going to a body of water that is controlled by somebody else, giving my entirety over to them, assuming that they can actually do everything and everything's going to be alright. And I don't have that sort of faith in anybody because I don't like water that much, which is just...
Oh.
And I find it funny that they get offended at the fact that I don't want to, like, go, yes, you can teach me, because it's a case of I am overwhelmed by the fact that I don't want to drown or go near water. Which is just funny, because it's a case of they're like, they always, and it's like, it's always the people that offer, which almost sounds like, although it's a case of, in some cases, I'm going to say it's very rare, that this doesn't happen. Most of the time, if not all the time, it's very cocky people. Like, you know, those people think, oh, I'm brilliant, therefore I can teach you because I taught myself, or whatever.
Don't get penisy, kid.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a case of, and just because they can do it, apparently everybody can do it. And they don't take into consideration that some people just cannot do things.
Or don't want to.
Yes,
yeah.
Exactly. Due to some like problem that whether it's their fault or not their fault, either way, doesn't matter. It's just one of those things. But I just find it funny.
If you don't want to do it, no one should force you.
Exactly. But I find it funny that these people get like really offended that the fact that you say no, because it's almost like you think like
oh, what do you mean you don't want my help?
Yeah, like it's a blight on them, and it's like, no, it assumes that I'm okay with going in water with you, and I'm just not okay with going in water. You don't come into any of this, but you're getting offended at the fact that I said no.
I'll be the first to say, Mamma Mia.
Is that what you think Psyduck looks like? Although...
I'm gonna put a repel on. I don't know. Yeah.
Although, to be honest, Psyduck does look like a little bit like it's been hit in the face with a flip-flop.
A little bit?
Yeah, you know its bill, it just looks like somebody's just gone, boom, flip-flop, there you go, done. But yeah, you get what I mean, though, don't you? It's just like, I just find it entirely entertaining to see people get offended at something that has nothing to do with them.
Yeah, had no bearing on them whatsoever.
Yeah, like it's not because you don't trust them, and it's not because, it's not because any problem is like something that's to do with them. It's literally just a case of no, because I said no.
Which is fair.
Yeah.
You don't want to do the thing. No one should make you do the thing.
Yeah, it'd be kind of like climbing a mountain. If somebody went, "Oh, you've never climbed a mountain before. Do you want to climb this mountain?" And you're just like, "No, I don't want to climb the mountain." It's like, "Why don't you trust me?" And it's like, "No, I just don't want to climb a mountain."
Yeah.
You never came into this decision. Kind of like skydiving. A lot of people don't like skydiving, but somebody who's doing skydiving
Totally see why.
Yeah, but it's apparently like you can see why loads of people don't go skydiving because it's massively expensive to go skydiving, pretty much, or as so I've heard. And I know it.
Yeah, so I've heard as well.
It apparently costs like £1,000, which I
Really?
something like that. I've heard. But it's a case of like I really like to do skydiving. I really want to do it at some point. But it's a case of I wouldn't go, "Hey Richard, you want to come skydiving?" And you went no, and I'm like, "Why don't you trust going skydiving with me?" And it's like, "No, you just don't want to be jumping out of a plane." I mean,
I can think of better ways to spend my day.
but because of societal norms, it's normal now for everybody to learn how to swim. And it's like, yeah, but we all don't know what it's like to jump out of a plane. But apparently, like, it's more conventional that you should all know how to swim, and you should explicitly trust everybody who knows how to swim because they know how to, and it's like, no.
I mean, I wouldn't like to try my hand at flying either, to be honest. I'm not terribly aerodynamic, Dirk.
I mean, on a glider, maybe it would be fun. I mean, let's be honest. It might be fun.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how I'd feel about the control. Just because
Or lack thereof.
No, because obviously you can control it a bit, like you can swoop and stuff, but it's a case of, I don't understand the controls, therefore I'd be a bit like, how do I do any of these things? Because it's literally just a bar, isn't it? And then you kind of like lean and stuff, or I assume. I've never touched one. A lot of assumptions there, apparently.
So.
Yeah, and it's just one of the. I love that.
There you go.
But yeah, it does seem like one of those things where it's a case of you control it by a bar that you have to grip onto for dear life. Which, it makes sense because let's be honest. What are you doing? What are you?
I'm quite obviously lost.
I got that. I'm like, what?
I need to go back over the other side, don't I?
Yeah.
Can I?
Does it have little whiskers? Or is that his mouth? Oh, that's pointless.
Oh, I obviously didn't mean to go here.
But yeah, I just find it funny how society just kind of deems that. I mean, there it's mouth, and then when it looks for her head, it's almost whiskers. But like society deems it okay that everybody should know how to swim. But it's not. So it's not okay that you don't know how to swim. But at the same time, not everybody should know how to skydive, and it's not okay to try and force somebody to learn how to or get offended at somebody
jump out of a plane.
Yeah, who doesn't want to go skydiving, and I just find that some sort of Like, it's almost some sort of weird social etiquette, and it's just really funny because it's just a case of it's really hypocritical. But it's just like, and nobody really realizes it until like you point these things out, and they're just like, oh yeah, these people actually don't want to do these things. But you know, it's just people are weird, aren't they? Really, like.
Yeah, that's it.
It's like
yeah, you shouldn't be forced to do something if you right don't want to.
Exactly, yeah. It's just the same as anything, really. Like, obviously, people have to get jobs and stuff, and people don't want to do that and stuff like that. But that's the case of that's just the society and the world we live in, and we have to kind of do that. And to be honest, if I didn't work or do this, I would get incredibly bored very quickly. Is that the same entrance?
Yep.
You've literally gone around in a whole circle.
Yep.
Get your ass back in that cave.
God damn it! I've only got myself to blame.
You have. You actually have, because you guided yourself through this.
Mate, I have no idea where I'm going. This is one puzzle that I could never figure out.
Don't you have to go on the other side of the water? Because you're currently there.
Up here. Yeah, that makes sense. My mistake was going to the left when I should have gone to the right. Because that's the other exit.
Yeah. Ta-da. It's almost like I'm all-knowing. Not the fact that I remember this from Let's Go Eevee.
See, that's it, mate. You know, we've all got little memories there of these games. Between us, I think we're an accomplished Pokemon player.
Accomplished. Gotta add the air quotes.
Accomplished.
But yeah, you know, it's just weird, isn't it? How people are like, oh my god, you didn't know how to do this, and it's almost like it's kind of weird how people are like, yeah, because you don't have to necessarily do these things by your timeline or by it. It's kind of like how people are like, it's very much like dating actually in this day and age, which I kind of find funny because it's a case of it's the exact, because getting offended at the fact that somebody doesn't want to do something then becomes the exact same as something else later, which is like God knows how long later, because everybody now has these expectations because of essentially what everybody else can do. So it's kind of like I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to just check this out for a second.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, I always forget there's a bit more water before you get to Cinnabar.
Okay, so yeah, it's exactly like this. Apparently, which is actually different from a couple of years ago. Like 5'10" plus is apparently at the average to tall height for a guy, and anything 5'9" to 5'4" is small, and then anything shorter is like, you know, but anything 5'9", 5'4" is like above average for dwarfs apparently, or I don't know if dwarf is the actual correct political term, but you know, it's not my wording, I'm literally reading this off Google.
Yeah, fair, man.
But so apparently 5'9" is the average height, But so we've taken this on as it's a case of this is apparently the world average height, even though we actually don't know the height of most, if not all, people, because usually it's not kept in any sort of statistical database, like a uniform.
No, it's not.
Like
even when you like, go to doctors and that, and they've always got like a height chart and a weight thing, you very rarely actually get measured on those metrics.
Exactly. They don't like. I think I've only been checked for my height once, and I was about, I want to say 13.
So according to all official records, you're still the same height that you were when you were 13.
Maybe, because the doctor doesn't really measure me when I come in.
No, that's it. They don't, do they?
And let's be honest, there was that thing recently, and I'm actually going to send it you because I found it really funny. Where a man's height, he got a COVID test, COVID injection vaccine letter, and it turns out that a 6'2" man, and I will tell you this was actually sent out on the 18th of February 2021. So this is an actual news article. This man was 6'2". Yeah.
Okay.
He was not overweight. However, the GP had inputted his height wrong, and it recorded his height as 6.2 centimeters.
What?
Yes, that is an actual thing. And it's a case of it would have given him
Oh dear, what a mistake to make.
Yep, and so they gave him a BMI of 28,000.
The BMI, it doesn't actually make sense.
No, well, it doesn't, and that's it, and nobody should kind of take it on board. But you should take it with a pinch of salt. Like, it'll give you an average idea, but obviously it's sort of case-per-case basis. Like, if you work out a lot, then then don't. Just ignore it. But, it's one of those things.
Obviously, muscle weighs more than fat. Did you say it were...
Roughly 3 times?
3 or 4 times?
Yeah, it's roughly 3 times. But yeah, it's a case of they recorded it wrong, so it's a case of
Sorry.
But let's be honest, it's a case of when have you ever gone, oh yeah, I need to tell my GP that my height and it's like, when have you ever done that? Nowhere. And do we have like a
I need to tell my GP that my height's changed.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a case of like, let's be honest, do we have a global database of everyone's information? No, we don't. You know why? Because nobody trusts each other enough. And that's why you get these stupid superstition things of like, oh, this is why you don't use TikTok, because the Chinese are going to steal your data. And it's like, yeah, but don't Facebook technically sell your data as well? So they're just as bad. Oh yeah, but that's American, so it's okay. And it's like, it's a bit hypocritical. It's just honestly, it's a very stupid mindset, because let's face it, our data is literally a selling point for everything, and we don't even know that TikTok have been like selling data because it's the Chinese and they're all collecting data. And let's be honest, who cares? What are they gonna get from like a bunch of like? Let's be honest, I'd say a good majority of the users are between the ages of 10 or 13 or 16 to 30. Somewhere in that, I'm giving a ballpark of the lower end of the scale, because let's face it, it's got to have some terms and conditions. I just haven't looked at them. So it's got to have some minimum age requirements.
Oh yeah, I'd imagine so. Like all social media does, don't they? Is it
Yeah.
like 16 or 18 or something?
Yeah. And so it's a case of you can be on there, but you might not get paid for stuff if you actually are able to get paid for stuff. Because yes, you can get paid for stuff on TikTok. But you know, it's one of those things, and it's just funny that everyone's like, "But what about the data?" And it's like, why do they care about what this like 10-year-old kid's doing this dance for to some music? Like, why? Who cares? Like, what are the Chinese gonna do with that information? Well, little Jimmy did a dance for 1 minute to this Fortnite
Jimmy
music.
did a dance.
and it's like, who cares? Like, no one gives a toss.
No.
But since we don't have this sort of global collection, we can't make an educated decision. So we roughly take a guess, and we go, oh yeah, this is roughly about the average height, or if not taller. And then it's like, well, that's...
Yeah, I don't think it's on. It's definitely not on census, is it? I just say that because my like census pack came the other day. Need to fill that out actually.
Census pack? What the fucking hell's that?
You know, you fill it out for census.
Oh, I have no idea.
Yeah.
First thing I've heard about it.
Oh, mine came through the other day. I think it's every, I want to say 4 years they send it out.
I'm just going to say yes.
That cloister was a real struggle. I was really struggling with that. I thought I were going to lose valid point there.
Okay, so would you also like to know the average height for an American male or worldwide, apparently? This is average height by country, but we don't have an average height in general. Okay.
Average height by country. Oh, just add them all together and divide them by how much data there is.
So apparently the average height for an American male is 5'10", or 5'9.3 inches, which is 176 centimeters.
So 5'9" and a bit.
Yeah. However, the average male height in, say, Afghanistan is 5'6". Albania is like 5'8.5". So it's a case of... But getting back to the point that I was originally making, it's just a case of this was a nice segue to say how ridiculous our actual height system is, saying that all these people happen to be short. Because in Costa Rica, the average height is 6.5 inches.
I heard Costa Rica's a good holiday destination.
Apparently so, but it's a case of... But they would all, like, a good majority of those would apparently be short, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
So
By the standards of our country.
Exactly. And Egypt is 5'7" and stuff like that. So all these people that are under like 5'10" are apparently short, which is, I'm going to be brutally honest, over 2/3 of the world, which is just stupid. Because now our dating standards go by the average height, and so they go. So because obviously people would like to have somebody who is taller than them if they are female, because fair enough, why not?
Yeah,
there's nothing wrong with that. And it's a case of like, I just find it funny. Oh, in Mozambique, the average height for a female is 5'1.5" inches, but they don't have any data for male. That's weird. Fair enough. But yeah, it's a case of like,
Don't you lie to me, random person.
Yes, it does.
I've been having issues with the amount of items that I have.
You mean because they didn't put more backspace in?
You pipe down.
But yeah, but basically we base our sort of dating parameters off of ridiculous sort of predispositioned ideals on what we want. So it's a case of this is actually a very long discussion by me, more of a statement really. And it's a case of
You've got 60 seconds. Go.
That's fine. So it's basically a case of we've got, like, because of all the data that we've been able to access on the average heights of our country and stuff like that, it's basically a case of we have inputted these and come up with some sort of, like, statistic or average of what we want in a person that we basically want on paper. And then we input that into a dating app and go, I want somebody who's this, this, and this, and this, and this. And basically, that averages out to less than a third of a country's population, because if 2/3 of the world is shorter than the average height, that also means that if 2/3 of the world are less than than what you want in a person, then and 2/3 of that country is shorter than that as well, or doesn't meet your expectations, you basically have less than a 10% chance of meeting somebody. As a rough guess, assuming that you want some more weird parameters on top of that, which I just find funny because it's a case of out of that 10%, you're going to decide that some people aren't attractive enough, and that some people don't earn enough, some people don't have hobbies that you like, some people aren't outgoing enough or are too outgoing, and stuff like that. And so it's just ridiculous. We basically just have set ourselves up to go, well, I'm just taking... You might as well throw a dart at a dartboard and just go, I want to go with that person, and let's see what happens. And that's effectively what the same thing is. It's effectively the same as we have been conditioned to think this sort of way, to find our ideal partners, which is just ridiculous.
Yeah, that's it. When it's, essentially arbitrary.
Yeah, exactly. It's like... And that's why I think that's why you find more people who are pan in not out and out. Like, obviously, there's going to be a lot of differences, but this is probably a reason why there is more. Because people just don't give a shit. They just care about who you are as a person. Not if you, like, have a really nice job, or you drive a sports car, or, you work out every day, or you're, like, 7 feet tall, and have a dong the length of your leg.
And on that note, I think that's all we've got time for today.
Yep.
The last thing Dex said was a dong the length of your leg.
Well,
And I want you all to think about that.
Enjoy it next
Think
time.
about it. See ya.
Bye. A dong the length of your leg.